recording will start soon. All right. So just some housekeeping. Stay muted while we're chatting. When it's question time, feel free to unmute or use the chat if that's possible for you. Your camera on or off, we don't mind. And then we are recording. So thank you all for being here. We know that it's a weird day with conferences, and so your schedules might have already been disrupted, but we appreciate you coming out for this really important presentation. We left the name Coffee with the Counselor because this was something that I touched on last year, and a lot of it's SEL related, but we've got special guests with us. So we've got Miss Williams, our assistant principal, here with us, and Principal Muhammad is here with us as well. So I'll let you come off mute and say hi so your picture pops up.
Good evening, families. I'm sorry, Debbie. Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to say I'm happy that you all are joining us this evening for, again, like Ms. Giordano said, this very important presentation as we think about supporting our students' social, emotional health, and well-being.
I agree. I'm so excited to see so many people here, and I'm excited to share this with everyone. Obviously, as this is a hot topic, but a very relevant topic to all of you and all of us. So thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you. All right. So we are going to get started. We've got a couple of pop quiz questions for you here. So forgive me, it's been a minute since I have done the poll everywhere here. So I'm going to try to give a link for you in the chat. Go to activity, or else you can use either the URL that's at the top there, or, I guess I could just give you the URL in the chat. Or you can text Amanda Jorda 288 to 37607 to log your response. So on average, children in Illinois joined their first social networking site at the age of 10. Let's see what we're thinking. Here is the link. I'll pop it in the chat for you. So on average, children in Illinois joined their first social networking site at the age of 10. All right, here we go. We've got a true, we've got some false. Ooh, quickly the true coming out in front. All right, let's see. Give it count of 5 and we'll move on. We're gonna go through 3 questions and then we'll see the real answers. So 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. We finished that one with 70% think that that's true, 30% think that it is false. And we are moving on to our pop quiz question 2. Let me move that along in our poll everywhere here. Okay. Come on. It's not the most user-friendly website. All right. Let me see if it'll refresh here. And if not, we'll move on. All right, we'll go to question 3 here. So and it's not showing up on screen. That's so strange. Oh, here we go. Just a little bit of a lag. By default, social networking site profiles are set to private. True or false? By default, social networking site profiles are set to private. All right, most people think false. And let's see if we can get that other one to actually work. I think I might have just inserted the wrong. Yeah, I think that was user error on my part. Our third question, I will just ask aloud. In Illinois, children mostly use apps for texting. So just think about your answer for that one. And we'll move on to our pop quiz answers. So the average age at which students in Illinois join their first social networking site is 10. That was true. So the majority won. Got that one correct. The majority of apps used by Illinois youths are for texting is not true. That's false. Photo and video sharing are the two most popular uses of apps. And then the wording has changed on this. By default, social networking site profiles are set to public. With that is true. So if you said it was false for private, you were correct. So interestingly, so if social networking sites profiles are set to public, according to a survey in Illinois in 2014, 30% of students don't use privacy settings to limit what others can see. They're just on full blast, full sharing. Anyone can see anything. And as an FYI, the Children's Online Privacy Protection Rule, COPPA, requires that users are at least 13 years of age or have parent permission to create a profile on a social networking site. So really interesting that the average age in Illinois for joining a social networking site is 10. So I'm gonna pass it over to Mrs. Williams to talk about why we're hosting this workshop tonight.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Again, thank you for being here. Principal Mohammed and I wanted to host this workshop in conjunction with Ms. Giordano, basically because of how we saw our school year start this year. So while we were thrilled and still are to have all of our students back in person, our September had its ups and downs with re-engaging our students back into being in the building and being around one another, and some things that we started to notice. Just wanted to throw this out there. We looked at our data, and the idea of this workshop actually came out of September, but 2 out of every 3 incidents that were reported this September at Nettlehurst were either directly or indirectly involving students' use of social media outside of school. So what that might mean is there was something that happened on social media, and then while they were at school, a student reported it to us, or something happened, and then as we investigate it, we find out the roots were from something that was in a group chat or something like that. So we really just felt like this was an important topic to share and kind of help us all work together to support our students all the way around. We did follow up after that with grade level student rights and responsibilities meetings for our 5th through 8th graders. We did them individually by grade level. Brought them to the auditorium and kind of went through re-engaging them around our Nettlehurst expectations, which are taking care of ourselves, taking care of others, taking care of our environment, and kind of what that meant for them as now 5th through 8th graders, because some of them, when they left the building, may still have been 3rd graders, 4th graders, 5th graders. So coming back at this age, it was a little bit of a different time for them. We are happy to share, I think, that after that, we haven't had any incidents of this nature, at least connected to social media, in October or November. So not to say that they aren't going to come back at all, but what I think we can see is that if we are communicating with them and messaging to them safety and importance and making sure they know we're involved in it, then we can really support them in the best way possible. We're not going to eliminate everything, but the more informed we are, the better prepared we can be. On that note too, we did draw their attention to the CPS anti-bullying policy. That's something that is linked in here. So when Ms. Giordano and I share out this presentation, you'll have access to that. But within that policy also lies cyberbullying, which the definition of cyberbullying per the policy means using any information or communication technologies to bully. And so that can include things that are not owned, leased, or used by the district. But when an administrator or teacher receives a report that bullying through this means has occurred, it is our legal requirement to follow up on it. And students can receive code of conduct violations related to bullying. So we wanted them to know that it is their right to have and choose what they do outside of school, but it is also their responsibility to use it appropriately and how it can affect them at the school. The next one. I wanted to share this graphic with you. I'm not going to read all of them, but it just had a lot of important things to point out. 55% of teens have given out their personal information to someone they didn't know. A little further down, 29% of teens have posted mean info, embarrassing photos, or spread rumors about someone. So just knowing that we know that things can happen, but kind of looking at the statistics of how much it can happen or when it could happen, they may not realize that sharing a photo of someone else, the implications that that could have on that person's social, emotional well-being, mental health, everything. And so the last one, just kind of why we're here tonight too, 67% of teenagers say they know how to hide what they do from online from their parents. So as much as we can be as engaged as we want to be, they may still be able to get around it and hide it. So that's why we're here tonight, to give you the tools and the best things that we can do to support you as parents and our children. The top 3 that we are seeing our students engage in are TikTok, Discord, and Snapchat. So that's not to say that there aren't any other ones, but these are 3 that have seemed to be pretty widespread use at Nettlehurst for those students who are using social media. And again, it's just knowing all of them are technically, you're supposed to be 13 years of age or older or have parental consent to use. So if they have created an account on their own, that means they've probably created an email account to saying that they're 18 or older, or saying something to create these. So it's just being informed and knowing if they have done these, how they got the accounts, and if you approve of it and whatnot. On here though are 3 for each of these. There are parental controls involved in most things. So for TikTok, if your children have TikTok, you can go into your kid's account and tap the 3 dots at the top of the profile and click digital well-being. And they actually have some features in there, such as screen time management. Restricted mode is one where you can restrict what content they can see, or family pairing. So some people choose to have their TikTok accounts paired with their parent or with their child, and that way they can see the activity on there. So those features are available there. Discord is another one that several of our students are using, and this one seems to be the one that has had the most issues. I'll be honest with that. And it was originally created as a game. It's created as a chat feature or a chat app for gaming, so that you can chat while you're playing video games. At this time, it has no parental controls. So there's no way for parents to restrict content or password protect the privacy settings. And so we'll get into that. We can get into that a little more. But what's happening in Discord is anyone can get added to a group. Any content can be dropped into that group. So some of the things we were seeing were pretty serious, or getting reported were pretty serious with Discord, of the content in terms of photos, videos, and things that are being shared amongst students in Discord. So really want you to educate yourself around that one if your child is on Discord. And then the last one with Snapchat. Snapchat, again, the messages disappear. So the biggest challenge for this is that there's no way to see your kid's activity in the app as you can in other social media platforms. You can't go grab their phone and scroll through and see what they did, because it might have already disappeared. So if your child is on Snapchat, or you decide to say yes to it, we suggest focusing on the privacy settings. Sit down with your kid, go through it together, go through the app's settings, and choose what you feel comfortable with. Next slide. Ooh, that's bright on here. Oh, there we go. All of this information that I just gave you is from this resource, commonsensemedia.org. So if you write down any resource tonight, I would say write that one down, commonsensemedia.org. It's the most comprehensive, wonderful resource for all things internet technology for parents. If you don't mind actually clicking on one of the top ones. Oh, you did. It's lagging.
It's loading very slowly. I'll switch over when there's anything but a blank white screen.
Gotcha. No problem. All of these are the same. So we'll send these out with you guys, or for you guys. But for example, like how I was talking about Discord, if you choose to allow your child to have Discord, again, your choice, this is an ultimate guide to it. It will tell you everything about the app It's got all sorts of FAQs, like what if this, what if that, how can I do this, what can my child access with that. It has videos that'll show you what the app is, what the icon looks like, everything. So we're just providing this to everyone as a resource. So the more informed you are, the more educated you are about this, the better decisions you and your child can make together. That's okay. We'll send you guys the links.
All right.
All right. I'm going to pass it
I will take over to start talking about some internet safety tips. So obviously, step one is educate yourself, which you're already doing. You're here with us tonight. But also take an interest in your child's online world. You know, it doesn't have to be like a serious sit-down conversation all the time. It could just be like, hey, what are the things that you're into? Like, what are the online, you know, like what are the apps that catch your attention or that are popular? Or what's cool about this or that? You know, you can take an interest in it and crack that door open in a conversational manner, so that it's something that's already a topic of discussion before you might have to have a serious conversation about it. Remember that you're in charge, you know, especially as students start to get towards that middle school age, they really start to think, oh, I'm older now and I need to have more responsibility. But you're in charge. You've given them, you know, access to the internet or access to a phone or, you know, iPad. You are still the adult, still in charge. And they get really wrapped up in it really easily. It's something that I think is unique to them, and we're maybe not as used to it as adults, that it's like the second world and they don't think critically about what they're doing online or what they're seeing online. So help them remember that not everything that's posted is true. I just had this conversation with a colleague that when you look at social media, even as adults, we only see the positives. People aren't posting the negative stuff. They're not posting the challenges they have. And so even as adults, we might look at, you know, the poster person for being an adult because they post all of the bright, shiny moments of their life, but you're not seeing all of the struggle in the background. And I think that's an important thing to share with our kids too. And along with that, things are altered when you're looking at images. There are filters, there's Photoshop, you know, there's so many tools for altering photos these days and videos that when we're thinking about body image, you know, not everything that you're seeing is a real image. So developing that critical thinking skill with your child about what they're seeing online is really helpful. And then when you're talking about internet safety, you want to work with your child. You want it to be collaborative. You want to keep it positive. You know, we do want to impress upon kids the dangers of the internet, but we need it to be a positive conversation so that they'll be open to collaborating. So talk about the benefits of internet safety. If you need to give examples about, hey, even like colleges are looking to see what kids are putting online, and in your digital footprint lasts forever. Like there are benefits to being internet safe and setting those privacy controls on your accounts, because you don't want, you know, Harvard to be looking back to what you posted when you were in 7th grade and hold it against you. And then ask your kid what they think good rules are, and have that open conversation with them and see what they're thinking. Be clear about expectations too. We all know someone who's going to look for that gray area or that loophole. Well, you said X, but you didn't say Y. So just be really clear about expectations. Don't leave any room for guessing. And so when it comes to those expectations, you do really want to be proactive about setting expectations and then following through with enforcing them. So that might look like sitting down and developing a technology plan or a contract with your child. And there is a resource that we'll share from the Illinois Attorney General's office about like just contracting how you're going to act on the internet and things like that as a child. Talk to your child about how you're going to be monitoring their use. You know, if you are going to use an app, which we have some recommendations for, to monitor or to block things, be open with your child about that. And then bring them into the conversation about what is the consequence for if you break the rule. Because when you work in collaboration with your kid, you're going to have more buy-in, and then also they'll understand the logic behind it. So, and they'll know what to expect, right? And it won't be like a big surprise that they lose their device for a week. They will have known ahead of time that that was what would happen. That's the consequence for breaking XYZ rule. And they'll understand why, because, you need to demonstrate responsibility with the device, with internet safety. And if you're not demonstrating responsibility, a logical consequence is that the responsibility is taken off your plate by way of loss of that device. And then again, just keep an open dialogue with your child. They're going to grow older. They're going to expect more responsibility, more freedom. And so you are going to have to revisit this conversation. So keep that conversation going. So these are a couple of expectations that you can set with your child. These are from that contract that I mentioned from the Illinois Attorney General's office. And so this is another opportunity for you to get involved. I'll put the link back in the chat for this poll everywhere. Let me grab it here. And just rank these in order of importance. What are the expectations that matter to you? What do you think is a non-negotiable? What's the absolute number one expectation that you have with your child and their internet safety, their use of devices or social media apps? Do you expect to have all of the passwords to all of the devices? Is it most important for you that all technology devices are going to be in a common area, that they're going to be put away for the night instead of being allowed into the bedroom? Are you going to have to kind of screen friend requests from people for your child? Do you want to make sure that your child is committed to not sharing personal information? I mean, that seems like really easy, non-negotiable. So just some expectations for you to think about. Which one is the absolute most important? And if you haven't had any expectations yet with your child, then you might want to focus on one or two instead of all of a sudden just showing up with all of these, because that'll be a really big change. It'll be jarring for your kid. You might get a little pushback. So work your way in. What is the number one thing you want to tackle now? Let that settle in and then move down the line. So see some results here. Number one, make sure not sharing any personal information, full name, school, address, phone number. Only accepting friend requests from people that the student and the parent know. Getting permission to download new apps and then get new games. Down the list, having passwords to devices and accounts, open communication, and then putting away technology. Okay. With a couple more votes, our first, second, and third have stayed where they are. And every family might be different. Like maybe that first one, the one that's in first place right now, doesn't have to be expressed as an expectation because you know that your child isn't going to do that. Maybe you want to focus on a different one. That's fine. Every family is different and you can prioritize what you think you need to. All right, let me find there it is. All right, so we're going to move on. You will have a link to that contract with these different expectations. So then some internet safety tips for kids. There's this nice acronym that you can use when talking to your kid, YAPI. So your name, address, passwords, phone number, and your plans. Those are things that should not be shared. Don't say, hey, I'm going to the circus this weekend. Hey, I'm going to the park. Sharing your plans is giving a location, and kids might not realize that. Be cautious when talking to strangers. I've heard stories of, my friend has a friend from school. My friend goes to another school and their friend, and they requested me, and so I added them. But have you ever actually met that person? That it is still a stranger to you. So don't accept those requests. And then tell an adult whenever something makes you unsafe or uncomfortable. I think kids sometimes are worried that they're going to be in trouble if they share. And I think it's important to open a dialogue with your kid. Like, I won't be upset if you need advice, come to me. That's exactly what I want you to do. So I can be your backup and I can provide you some guidance. It's also really important to talk about creating strong passwords, because accounts get hacked, and we don't want somebody else posing as your child online, and thinking about what kind of access they might give to their friends because their password was easy to break. So talk about, why is it important to have a strong password? What makes a password strong? And then again, making sure that they only accept friend requests, follow requests from people that they know. And then when asking your kids about, like, having these open conversations and asking them about their online activity, where do you spend most of your time online? That's a really good question to have, or to ask when you're just trying to have a conversation with them. Like, how do you decide who gets to follow or friend you? What do you share? What do you post? What are you downloading? What are you looking at? What is your reason for going on social media? Can I look at your profile with you, see what's in there? Not to tell you what you're doing wrong, but let's take a look. And what do you do if someone you don't know online starts to private message you or comments on your posts? And then obviously, like, it's important to have a response in mind if you don't get an answer that you like, because you don't want to be stuck and like really mad, or you don't want to have a big reaction. You want it to be a nice, even, neutral conversation. And then some questions for you as a parent to think about. How would you handle it if you found out that your child was cyberbullying someone? What if you have this conversation and you find out that your kid has accounts on these social networking sites? You didn't know that they had them. You don't approve of it. How will you have that conversation? How will you handle your emotional response? And how will you have that conversation with them in a way that you can keep an open dialogue with them in the future, right? What if you find out that they lied about their age to make an account, or even on their account, they've lied about their age? If they're posting things online that is hateful, what if they've sent or received inappropriate videos or pictures? Pre-plan for some of these, and with the hopes that you'll never have to address that situation. But if you do, you'll be prepared. So I know Ms. Williams posted a few resources in the chat already, but we have a whole bunch in the resource section here for you. And some of them came from a parent who is well-versed in internet safety. And so we've got a lot here for you. So I'll toss it over to Ms. Williams to talk about some of these resources.
Sure, it's on the screen time one right now, but I can go through that as well. So this we actually just wanted to reshare from a presentation we did a couple years ago. In terms of, we didn't focus as much on screen time limits in this presentation because we wanted to focus more on internet safety and social media use. However, just kind of thinking about, as our children have been on screens so much more with remote learning, and a lot of it is educationally related still, in order for them to develop those skills of collaboration, empathy, critical thinking, we really should limit their screen time. So while they're back in school in person and not in screens during the day, still thinking about the max 5th through 8th graders should be on a screen is 40 to 50 minutes. So how are you structuring that? How are you budgeting the time to make sure they turn the device off, that it's not in their bedroom? So we've had students who get up in the middle of the night to use them, are on them all night long, they're tired. So just being aware of that and setting some parameters around it. This was a great resource that was shared. A couple resources here for kids, a book and a couple websites. This is where that agreement came from, things like that. So make sure you check out this. As far as for parents, recommending a couple different documentaries. The Social Dilemma is one that has gotten a lot of buzz around it. That's one to look out for. Childhood 2.0, it's available on YouTube, but it's a must-see for anyone who wants to really think about navigating children through the digital age. Recommending the book Glow Kids, as well as the YouTube channel Smart Social. There's a lot of good stuff on there about the platforms and apps that they're using, even though it is YouTube. These resources were all shared by a fellow Nettlehurst 6th grade parent who actually works in this department. as ones that he recommended. Again, Common Sense Media is the one that I recommended that's on here. A lot of stuff by grade level can go all the way down to the younger ones. But I'm not going to read all these to you, but we'll send you these links. I definitely recommend checking them out. Thank you for that swoop, Miss Giordano. And then a few more here. Common Sense Media is on here again. I guess I didn't realize we doubled that. But Media Smarts and internetmatters.org, they're both a Canadian and a UK organizations that also have a bunch of resources. And these were just what was shared with us from a parent to another parent. Couple things on here, because I know I mentioned in those Common Sense Media sites, you can find the specific parental controls and instructions for whatever app your child is using. So I would definitely recommend starting there, because it'll walk you through step by step what to do and what's the best thing to do. If this is something you choose, there are some other parental control resources where there are some apps that kind of let you see and monitor what your child's doing on social media. So again, making that being something that you engage your child in, if you are going to go this route, because if you go back to those stats from earlier, I think there might have been one on there about children feeling spied on. They don't want to feel spied on. So you want to engage them in the conversation. If this is something you're going to do, that's what we would recommend. Let them know we're doing this together. We're putting this on, so that they kind of feel that safety and comfort of you being involved in it. But the article that I linked in here, 10 apps for parents to monitor kids' mobile use, has a lot of suggestions of some of them that you can put on their phones or put on devices, so that you can kind of see what they're browsing and doing. As well as just Apple devices have a lot of parental controls. If you search for videos for those on YouTube, you can see what kind of parameters you can set around screen time and different things. I love that we have a dog visiting us. I'm enjoying that. That's all we've got for you. Didn't want to talk at you guys too long, so we definitely want to shout out Ms. Hempy and Ms. Mancuso for some of these resources from a few years ago, as well as Ms. Jackie Gustafson, our social worker, who's been definitely involved in our social emotional learning department and supporting our students with this. So we will be here for a little bit. If anyone has any questions or wants to open or share any other resources, if you have gotten all you want, you are free to go. And we hope all is well with everyone. Have a wonderful evening.
Thanks for being here, everybody. Yes, Liz, thank you. Yeah, Common Sense Media rates all sorts of media to say if it's age appropriate, why it is or isn't. I think they do like movies, books, maybe, and video games. They do so much. They have tons of ratings.
No, I'm so glad you mentioned that, because I've actually used Common Sense Media when looking for movies for my 4- and 6-year-old. It kind of tell you what's in them, what they can handle, the appropriate age range. So it's definitely great. Thanks. Mm-hmm. All right, I think that's a wrap. Can hit. Yes, we will definitely send out the whole deck, the links, everything to the whole 5th through 8th grade. So even the people who weren't able to attend. So we'll do that by tomorrow.
I'll share it with you in exchange for the name of your dog. No, I'm kidding.
You can stop recording too.
I did. It's just, it just says that, oh no, I clicked the stop recording, but it's still an option in the menu. I don't